Good morning. I am Angelica Gutierrez, co-chair of AmeriGEO, and I welcome you to the GEO 2021 Work Program Symposium. I will serve today as your moderator, along with Ivan Delodge, for the AmeriGEO session. Over the past 7 years, AmeriGEO has grown from a vision to promote collaboration and coordination among the GEO members in North, Central, South America, and the Caribbean, to an increasingly strong set of partnerships with participating organizations and associates. This session will highlight the successful partnerships for the community and explore the establishment of new partnerships in the region. Through these partnerships, AmeriGEO is enabling better integration of geospatial and statistical information, reaching more users, including academic networks, offering an integrated platform for training opportunities and pilot opportunities to take the open information and apply it to important disaster problems. You will not only listen to the testimonial of leaders in our region and how through their leadership participation in the regional GEO activities, progress and positive change is occurring in their communities. In this session, we will highlight Earth observation strategies, partnerships, and services for supporting AmeriGEO activities in the GEO Work Program. The session is broken in two parts. In the first part, we will highlight global, academic, and NGO partnerships. On the second one, we will highlight partnerships and services from national, regional, and private sectors that will be led by Ivan Delodge. GEO has a broad portfolio of ongoing activities in AmeriGEO. As such, this session is set up with short lighting talks to provide an opportunity for the community to understand some of the work that is underway. Once all the presenters have completed the presentations, we will open the floor for your questions and comments from the audience in general. Considering time, we will not read the bio of each of the presenters, but we encourage you to go to the GEO webpage to learn more about each presenter. So we will start our session with a presentation by Paloma Merodio. Then she will be followed by Harshadip, followed by Mark Urban from Red Clara. I'm sorry, Harsh is from the World Bank. Mark is from Red Clara. Then Rosario Casanova, who's the leaders of the academic network for UNGGIM Americas. Then Karen Tabor from Conservation International. And finally, with Nadine Alameth from the Open Geospatial Consortium. So we will start our presentations and I hope you enjoy. Thank you.
Quality data is vital for decision-making, but monitoring a country's progress requires the collection, processing, and analysis of an unprecedented amount of data. Global monitoring should be based on comparable and standardized national data obtained through well-established reporting mechanisms, which can be improved by strengthening the coordination. International and regional organizations play a significant role in facilitating these processes. The increasing demand for decision-ready data requires that we explore new data sources and technologies, and such tasks will undoubtedly benefit through partnerships with civil society, the private sector, and academia. Today, I would like to share a series of collaborative actions in the region that INEGI participates in. The Regional Working Group on the Measurement and Recording of Indicators related to Disaster Risk Reduction aims to address the complexity of reporting on indicators of the Sendai framework and the SDG indicators related to these issues. Another example is the UNGGIM Working Group on Geospatial Information and Services for Disasters, which was requested to put together a survey on current practices and issues of the Americas. The survey findings were analyzed in a report titled Diagnosis and Gap Analysis. In a nutshell, the report was about highlighting issues in the region to use geospatial information to mitigate disasters and to be more resilient and responsive. Another successful collaborative example is the Central America Project, supported by the Pan American Institute of Geography and History and led by the United States Census Bureau and INEGI. With the emergence of the pandemic, the project technical team made the decision to focus on helping decision-making in Central America with the response to COVID-19. A last example is ECLAC's working group on the use of alternative data sources for the environment, coordinated by INEGI. The activities of this working group include a regional assessment, which will help to both design and deliver thematic workshops and to create a manual with a series of recommendations and best practices for the use of alternative data sources within national agencies. Finally, as it's been demonstrated with the Digital Earth Africa program, and country demand has shown that the Americas are ready for a similar path. Digital Earth Americas aims to bring together users in the Americas region to create an open, sovereign, and operational in-country experience in data analysis, use and management for evidence-based policy, decision, and action. And we have already witnessed their progress in the first 2 Digital Earth Americas workshops. In conclusion, all of these efforts clearly align with many of the objectives to enhance the use of Earth observations. Thank you.
Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. My name is Harsh, and I'm a global lead for disruptive tech at the World Bank. And it's been a pleasure to work with GEO in recent years, and I'm pleased to be here. I'll try to give you a feel today for how we are trying to work with different parts of our global village today, whether it be governments or agencies which are at regional, national, or local levels, or private sector, academia, civil society organizations, knowledge and development partners, basically with also general public, everyone. So the challenge is, how do we all work together as one to try and see if Earth observation can be actually brought into practice in a widespread manner. At the World Bank, we focus mainly on knowledge, on bringing people together, convening and financing different types of activities, both with the public sector and with the private sector through many of the different parts of the World Bank, like IDA, IBRD, the IFC, which works with the private sector, MIGA, and ICSID for international dispute settlement. And we lend anywhere from $60 to $100 billion every year, working in different parts of the world. And today, what's happening is that we are looking at a whole range of new types of disruptive technologies, which are disrupting our data value chain, going from data to information to knowledge to decision support, and new ways of making things and new ways of connecting people up together, like we are doing right now, using technology. And as part of this, spatial information and analytics is key. And some of the areas which we are focusing on is to see how to improve the public domain access to these kinds of new data services and analytics services that are out there, so better decisions can be made, more information-based decisions, and also to see how these could be embedded into our knowledge and learning type activities and partnerships, including with GEO. We're working closely with GEO Glows, GEO AquaWatch, and so on, and also with financing different types of projects and studies which are using and promoting the use of spatial and Earth observation information. So we've been working especially with the GEO on activities, as I mentioned, with the GEO Glows on some of the flood forecasting system related aspects with our folks at BYU and AquaVeo and other places. We're working with the GEO AquaWatch folks on different Great Lakes in Africa and trying to see how to improve the use of Earth observation for water quality information in places like Lake Victoria, for example. And we're also trying to link it up with our own World Bank geospatial platforms that we have, where we're linking up to draw a watershed at any location with certain scripts, linking it up with tools like Google Earth Engine's APIs to go in and look at what the elevations look like or what the populations look like in that particular watershed, or to even explore high-resolution satellite imagery and also new satellite imagery services to explore over time, and also see how other things have changed over time, such as population, or looking at chirps data for rainfall, which is based on both Earth observation and on local in-situ measurements, and new ways to look at NDVI from a range of different sources for looking at how the vegetation has been changing and to see if there's issues happening anywhere, and also to help our clients to use this kind of information. And so the challenge is, how do you bring together these bottom-up, top-down, digitized information analytical tools and make them more accessible to people through interactive dashboards or other services, which can draw upon this range of new disruptive technologies that are there, and to see if these can go up the data value chain as we were discussing. So starting not with the data, but with the decisions that you need to support. For example, on disaster management, how do you cope better with floods, for which you need better early warning and recommendations, for which you need better forecasts on the weather, hydrologic and flood inundation, for which you need a whole range of different data sets and tools to try and help make these decisions better. One last area that I'd like to focus on is this new set of things we are trying to do on e-packaging information to make different kinds of data dashboards and to be able to visualize information in new interactive ways, and also use new types of tools such as drones, for example, to go in and help visualize information and be able to do analytics on the fly and be able to do things like profiles and other things which can help with a lot of project preparation and supervision, and also be able to look at this data from different points of view using, for example, interactive touchscreens or new kinds of ways of pulling information together to support decisions, both at the bank and with our clients. And we have a team, we call our kids, working with us, who have been very good in terms of trying to translate this information into things that our teams can work on. So we look forward to collaborating with all of you as we go ahead on data, analytics, knowledge, learning, and also at the operational level, so that a lot of these tools can then be used to actually help the poor in not just the poorer countries, but the poorer people in all countries, so that a lot of these innovations that are there can get translated to work on the ground. And at the bank, we could be good partners in terms of interfacing between people who are the knowledge developers and the innovators, and people who actually need the knowledge and the innovations for helping do their daily work. So thank you again, and we look forward to the discussion.
Hello, my name is Mark Rambo. I'm CFO of Red Clara. I'm pleased to participate in the Geo Symposium in the name of Red Clara, with the hope to give at least some hint as to what Red Clara is and the role it hopes to play, especially with regard to Earth observation. Red Clara is the research and education network for Latin America, federating and connecting the national research and education networks, which in turn federate and connect the research and education communities in their respective countries. In a way, this network constitutes the hidden link behind a little part of what these two guys you see here invented over 30 years ago, a vehicle that allows the research and education institutions to interconnect, share data, computing resources, and then to contribute to mobilization and action. The digital technologies are in their deployment phase in developed economies, and we leverage the information and communication technology infrastructure, including, we hope, for the research and education and for the Earth observation communities. Although connectivity and access to internet services is still deficient, among others, in Latin America. This is here a glimpse to the current state of the worldwide connectivity secured by the research and education networks. These networks form an infrastructure that is separate and distinct from the commercial or public internet, reserved solely and exclusively for education and research communities. Now, this here is a simplified view of Red Clara's state of connectivity, including a submarine cable directly connecting Europe with Latin America that has been installed and inaugurated officially on the 1st of June, thanks to the Bella project. This cable will foreseeably cut latency of transmission of data between the two regions by half and increase speed and capacities, which makes it suitable for transferring data between universities and research centers worldwide. What is then the value proposition of Red Clara and all the research and education networks for the development of Earth observation? A role of articulation among the academic community and between academia and Earth observation communities, especially, of course, with Earth observation-related academic stakeholders like the UNGGIM academic network. As it was agreed through last year's Aguascalientes Declaration, is the conjunction and integration of Earth observation stakeholders and collaboration at national, regional, and transnational levels that will bring Earth observation platforms to another level of effectivity and will leverage, in turn, multidisciplinarity, digital technologies, including Earth observation platforms, and above all, the human networks. And all this with the purpose of leveraging and spreading globally to its highest potential, the exponential development of the concepts you see here and that are essential to Earth observation. This is why it is our highest desire to help advance the priorities defined in the plans, strategies, and digital agendas of different key institutions that can contribute to Earth observation development, such as SICA, IDRC, IAI, GLADULEC, or like ECLAC and development banks. And Red Clara is also participating in the working groups created in the wake of the Aguascalientes Declaration, among others, through integrating with Red Clara's working groups, like on climate change, telehealth, and other topics. So I'm thanking you for your attention.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the invitation to be part of this event. My name is Rosario Casanova. I'm professor at the University of Republic in Uruguay. I'm also the chair of the Academic Network of UNGC Americas. I'm going to introduce our network. We are a network of recognized universities and education centers involved in the education, research, and development of geospatial information and all related matters regarding the information and geographic point of view from the whole Americas. Some of our goals are to promote and strengthen the collaboration between the academic institution and the national members of the UNGC Americas. Also to support from the academic point of view, the aims and objectives of UNGC Americas, and also to facilitate the access to research and education for the members of our network, our UNGC Americas. So last year, more or less the whole year, last year and part of this year, we were together, some people coming from different institutions, Organization of America. We were together in a working group regarding the capacity development, how to improve the capacity development of Americas. Therefore, Nancy Servay and I, as co-chairs, with Betsy Hernandez as the secretary, we worked together in order to prepare some agreements, some statements that all of them were proposed and they are included in the Aguascalientes Declaration. Therefore, I will share with you some of the goals that we, as a whole group, we detect that they are important and we should do in order to keep working together. The goals were to create a permanent committee to contribute regarding the capacity development of the whole Americas. Also to identify which were the real needs of each of the subregions of the whole Americas. We have different subregions with different necessities, with different improvements, with different fields. So the proposal is to make a diagnosis in order to identify those needs in education and also in research. We also think that it was so important to assist and support to each of the countries in order to implement and integrate geospatial information framework as the global statistical geospatial framework too. And of course, to assist and support the implementation and monitoring of the sustainable development goals and Sendai framework. And just going to the specific goals, we also think that we should create a regional network, different regional networks of trainers, and in order to contribute with local universities, also to update the agenda of the existing capacity development training course. Therefore, we are working, we just have the Inter-American Academy in order where all the courses are offered and they are shared in order to everybody can access to that information, to the training courses. We also, another goal is to promote the capacity building agenda in our countries and to improve or try to make, to build that to decision maker about the awareness of the value of Earth observation and using geographic information. And as the last but not least goal that we propose is the leverage of GEO flagships, initiatives and community activities, as well as this works on data and knowledge infrastructure. And so finally, we have that our proposal activities coming from one specific in order to keep moving, in order to finally be able to develop pilot projects involving common needs for multiple countries and different regions. So thank you very much for your attention, and just we can keep in touch. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Karen Tabor, and I'm the Senior Director of Ecological Monitoring at Conservation International. Today, I'm going to talk to you about a NASA-funded project aligned with the AmeriGEO initiative called Earth Observations for Indigenous-Led Land Management, or EO4IM. Just a little bit introduction of why we're focusing on increasing the capacities of Indigenous peoples to use Earth observation data. And really, it's an equity issue, but also in terms of conservation and sustainable land management. We cannot meet any global targets on climate change or reducing biodiversity loss without the leadership of Indigenous peoples. Indigenous peoples and local communities manage a large proportion of the Earth's terrestrial surface, and these lands overlap with 80% of global biodiversity and a fifth of the world's forest carbon. Also, traditionally, lands managed by Indigenous peoples and local communities have significantly lower rates of deforestation and forest degradation compared to lands outside their management. But there's recent trends in increasing pressures to Indigenous managed land, and these are from outside interests of logging and mining companies and migrants settling on their land. So to help address those threats, we believe that Earth observation information and access to monitoring information can be very useful in aiding Indigenous peoples and local communities to not only just monitoring the threats to their territories, but also in reporting these illegal activities to authorities and really fully implementing their land rights. So the overall goal of EO4IM is, again, increasing access to and capacities of Indigenous peoples to use Earth observation data. And we're doing this, we started this pilot project now almost 4 years ago with the Indigenous peoples of San Martin, Peru, and the Ashmore Nation of Ecuador. This is also in collaboration with NASA Indigenous Peoples Capacity Building Program and AmeriGEO. Our approach is really two parts. First is a needs assessment, and we apply the best practices and stakeholder engagement to understand the community's goals for land management, what their challenges are, and what are the barriers to technology access or Earth observation data and tools that may help them overcome those challenges. We also want to understand how the communities are connected, how information flows within communities, between communities, and also between communities and external actors. And then from this needs assessment, we have we've made recommendations on key topics for technical capacity building so the communities can best leverage Earth observation data and tools. Here are some topics here. Really top priorities in common for the communities are youth engagement, training the next generation for use of these tools. understanding just the fundamentals of GIS and remote sensing and the vocabulary associated with these technologies, participatory mapping with mobile applications, drones, and for mapping and monitoring, and also general access and visualization of satellite imagery for mapping and monitoring. We have not returned to the communities yet to do the capacity building due to COVID. However, our staff that work with these communities in country have been working with these communities for years, if not decades. So it's a continuous relationship, and it's going to continue after this project. And we're invested in the long term to help the communities meet their goals for their community. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, you can always contact me. My email is on the slide.
It's so great to be here. I'm Nadine Alamy, the CEO of the Open Geospatial Consortium, and I'm really happy to participate in this session, especially that OGC works very closely with UNGGIM on the standards guide, part of the IGIF, the Integrated Geospatial Information Framework. And I have the honor to participate in the UNGGIM Private Sector Network Board as well. So it's great to see AmeriGEO bringing us all together here today to tell about how we're supporting the community and growth in the region. So I'll tell you a little bit about OGC if you're not familiar with it. We are a global consortium of more than 500 plus organizations, from government to industry to academia, some of them listed here on this page. Our mission is centered around making geospatial information, location information findable, accessible, interoperable, reusable, and this is especially critical in the times of disasters when we need decision-ready information and we need it delivered to the right people, to the right users at the right time. How do we do this? And you'll see where I'm getting here. Our approach is collective problem solving. Based on this strong partnership from the members that we have. Partnerships that drive pilot projects. We call them innovation projects because they bring together the best experts all over the world when it comes to geodata, to Earth observation data, to machine learning, to AI, to integration, to analytics, to application development, to cloud deployment. And we leverage the established technologies and the innovative ones to demonstrate what could be possible with agile proof of concept projects. And what we end up with, these projects result, and I'll tell you about one project specifically, they result in open standards, international standards that OGC is known for, but equally important, best practices and proofs of concept. So equally important is leaving behind essentially sort of blueprints on how do you use standards and how do you use the emerging technologies and how do you deploy stuff on the cloud and how do you produce analysis ready data and how do you put it together for mobile devices. So sort of like blueprints that enable communities to go from pilot projects all the way to scalable, sustainable operations. And that's what we're doing with our partnership with AmeriGEO. Our partnership that's actually kicking off today, the Disaster Pilot 2021, with the leadership and sponsorship. Thank you very much, FGDC, USGS, NASA, NR Canada, AWS, Maxar, CONIDA, and of course, AmeriGEO. I'm very happy about this partnership. There's a link in the slides where you can learn more about this project that we're kicking off today. But if I have just 30 seconds to tell you about what we're doing. So this pilot is, the context is flooding and landslide disasters around two river basins in Peru, hence the collaboration with CONIDA. We're going through the life cycle of these disasters and looking at where interoperability amongst data and systems could be improved so that we can get from data to decision-ready information quickly, but also accurately, reliably, consistently, you name it. And I'm very happy that there's also a very solid health angle to the whole pilot project, because we have not forgotten about COVID yet, and we really should not forget about global pandemics in this case. We are looking to leverage in the flooding disaster the GEO Global Water Sustainability, GeoGLOW's initiative, and the stream flow service. We are exploring many technologies, as I mentioned, from cloud to earth observation to machine learning to mobile to Internet of Things. Again, 3 minutes is too little, too few, and hopefully leaving behind those blueprints for capacity building, for empowering essentially the actual decision makers at the local level to be able to use all this data and all these technologies. So there's an amazing leave behind in terms of blueprints for flooding, for landslide, and for a lot of cloud deployment, open source software, and architecture based on standards. So you're not locked into a specific implementation, but you can actually grow as your requirements grow with you and as disasters change and come and go. So this is it in a nutshell. I'm happy to take any questions and looking forward to the conversation. Thank you again for this amazing partnership. Thanks.
Thank you to all our speakers this morning for sharing the information on all these efforts, constructs to advance the use of Earth observation in the AmeriGEO. It is really exciting to see how these organizations are joint efforts to advance and empower our community and our people. I would like to now introduce Ivan Delage, a GEO veteran, to introduce part 2 of the session. Ivan?
Thank you, Angelica, and good morning, buenos dias to everyone. It's definitely a pleasure for me to be here with you this morning. Excuse me, as Angelica has mentioned, it's a very exciting time in the Earth observation geospatial community. Sorry about that. Quite a bit going on. Like I was saying, it's a very exciting time in the geospatial community. As we heard in part 1, we heard a lot about partnerships around the global academic and NGO communities. In part 2, we have some exciting speakers today to share information and highlight connections at the national, regional, and with public-private partnerships to advance the use of Earth observations. Following presenters are as follows. We have Cesar Rodriguez, who will be starting us off, and followed by Major General Morgan. Following Major General Morgan will be Giovanni Molina, and then Rafael Monge will be the next speaker, followed by Luis Bermudez, and then finally, our last speaker will be Pat Cummins. So with that, Rich, could you please start the videos? And thank you.
Cesar Rodriguez from Uruguay, Secretary General of the page. I appreciate the opportunity to participate in this meeting. As introduction, the page is a specialized agency of the Organization of American States. It was created in 1928. Its mission is to strengthen, coordinate, and distribute knowledge in 4 areas: cartography, geography, history, and geophysics. There are 21 member states forming part of the page. Also, 5 states are permanent observers. The page has subscribed MOUs with 22 international organizations, including 8 universities. The General Secretariat is the organ that coordinates the activities of the other organs. Secretary General is the legal representative and is in charge of the financial affairs. In each member state, we have a national section. National section have a different development degree. Our permanent challenger is how can we add value to page actions? I refer now specifically to the scientific area. My goal is to answer the question that AmeriGEO considers that will be important for the community to know. First of all, we have the Technical Assistance Program, TAP, projects and the Diffusion Program, DP. The publication and social network compose the latter. Regarding the TAP, we finance an average of 20 projects annually. The average sum is about $200,000 per year. We have research, training, and seed projects. As an example of TAP, the page has finances the project developed by UNGGM and the Census Bureau in Central America. The goal of this project is to integrate cartography and statistics. The aim is to find the vulnerability index of COVID-19. We focus our next steps in strengthening scholarships. We think that in the new normal, with the use of technology, we can offer the opportunity, especially to the young community. On the other hand, all page journals are in the digital format. We have one journal index in Cielo and 2 in Latindex. Now, we are involved in the new joint action plan with the other regional organizations. In addition, we are working with ECLAC in the migration of GeoSur. ECLAC offered the website and its maintenance. We signed a letter of intention. To finalize, I would like to express a reflection about a new model that we can visualize. The paradigm shift highlights the importance of ephemeral data traditionally ignored in national legislation. Today, private companies are the only ones that have handled this type of issue legally, as government entities are limited by their traditional roles. From being independent organization, I resolve, I provide solution. We must move to an independent model. We resolve, we provide solutions. We must include civil society, academia, and fundamentally companies, since the state is not and will not be in a position to satisfy the demands by itself. In relation to the geographic information, the growing role of the state places in the center of the stage should evolve from the traditional producer to begin one more in terms of production, but fundamentally an articulator and facilitator, both in production and in access by the decision makers. Many thanks.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Peruvian Air Force Major General José Antonio García Morgan, CEO of the Spatial Agency of Peru, CONIDA. I would like to thank the organizers of the GEO Virtual Symposium 2021 for this event. Since in AmeriGEO, we believe the improvement we are doing in terms of collaboration and use of data for decision making is relevant to be shared with all the community. In this regard, this presentation will show the partnerships to advance the use of high-resolution data towards better decision for disaster risk reduction. Nowadays, users spend 20% of their time finding, cleaning, and reorganizing huge amounts of data, and only 20% of their time on actual data analysis that informs decision making. Global and regional framework such as Sendai, UN, GEO, and others are helping to optimize workflow to transform data to decisions. By removing barriers in the supply chain, we can accelerate information to decision makers. So how can we optimize and accelerate synthesis and analysis to get information into the hands of decision makers? Well, we present some activities in relation to the answer to that question. In the first place, I would like to mention that thanks to strategic partnerships such as the International Charter, the community has a resource that improves access to imagery for disaster monitoring. As this slide shows, this partnership has supported 715 activations that have been used by many countries to leverage imagery for disaster response. This is a titanic effort to provide data for who more need it for decision making on the most critical situations. Great strides have been made. However, we need to make the process more efficient. As an example, this is a product over Peru. We suffered a series of severe floods during summer 2017, and we received satellite data showing the extension and the level of the affected areas in our country. We use also high-resolution satellite data from Perusat-1 for this purpose. Moreover, I would like to mention that since 2016, when Perusat-1 was launched, the Republic of Peru has supported requests from countries in the Inter-American community and Europe for disaster response. In addition, in the region, agreements have been established with Argentina, Bolivia, and Paraguay, looking for providing access to Perusat-1 for broader objectives, and we are working with additional nations. The Republic of Peru, in partnership with member countries and partners of AmeriGEO and OGC, are sponsoring the 2021 OGC disaster pilots to improve discovery, access, and use of the GEO data for decision making. A major thrust of this effort will be to optimize high-resolution data, including Perusat-1, using GEO services to expand, use, and make the imagery analysis ready and decision ready to accelerate decision making. It's important to highlight that this is one of the largest responses OGC has ever received in support of a pilot. The project comprises cloud-optimized imagery services that include analysis-ready data to conduct analysis, provide decision-ready information, products, and services based upon predefined indicators. The successful development, prototyping, and testing of these capabilities as part of the AmeriGEO and partner-sponsored OGC pilots is a welcome work program activity. In conjunction with this effort, the Republic of Peru is hosting a mapathon between June 28th and July 2nd. This is a monumental occasion, not only because we celebrate the bicentennial of independence of Peru, but also because we are conducting the first national mapathon where 0.7 meter data will serve as the foundation of the event, and with participants from the national and international community. The objective of the mapathon is collectively to map problems oriented to disaster risk management under different modalities, prioritizing interinstitutional collaboration of the local governments and universities at the national level, promoting research and development in the field of science and technology. Our objective is to advance the use of Peru's SAT-1 data by the community to support disaster risk reduction. Well, thank you for the opportunity to present, and I encourage your participation in the 2021 OGC pilot. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Giovanni Molina from Environment Ministry of El Salvador. Thanks to the organizer for the opportunity to share with you some experiences from El Salvador in the use of the spatial information and Earth observation in the Central American region. From El Salvador, together with Costa Rica, we are supporting the region to run the Central America Flash Flood Guidance, which provides real-time guidance products related to flash floods in the region, especially maps to early warning in watersheds of rapid response during extreme events like the last year that impacted the region. We are building the agri-drought monitoring system from Central America. The system has emphasized on the dry corridor and will support the region to making decisions on food security. The system takes data from ground station and satellite images. This is an initiative of FAO with the national support. With the support of Europe Climate Funds and the Spanish Meteorological Agency, regional climate change scenarios have been constructed at scales suitable for decision making. Both data and maps will be available on a server at our facility for access through the region to making decisions in the climate change issues. Last but not least, it is my pleasure to invite you to participate in AmeriGEO Week 2021, hosted by El Salvador and the Central America Integration System in the third week of August. You are cordially invited. Muchas gracias. Thanks for your attention.
Hello, and thank you for the invitation to participate in the 2021 Geo Symposium. My name is Rafael Monge, and I work as Director of the National Center of Geoenvironmental Information at the Ministry of Environment and Energy of Costa Rica. I'll be presenting about our work on integrating Earth observations data and scientific knowledge with decision-making processes in Costa Rica to achieve our goals in sustainable development in alliance with key partners like the Group on Earth Observations and the representatives of our region in AmeriGEO. In 2018, we began a partnership with the Natural Capital Project at Stanford University to improve the linkages between Earth observations and ecosystem services models. The next year, we presented this project for the Geo Amazon Earth Observations Cloud Credits Program. We got accepted, and this marked the beginning of a new phase in the relationship with our country and Geo, which has helped us in many areas. With this project, we have been working in a modeling system for natural capital accounting, using cutting-edge science and remote sensing data, and implementing the essential biodiversity variables approach promoted by GeoBond. The project has already seen significant success in uncovering new information about 3 ecosystem services that are key to livelihoods and cultural values in Costa Rica: water regulation, crop pollination, and ecotourism. Later in 2020, we participated in 2 other calls launched by Geo, the Google Earth Engine License Program and the EO Toolkit for Sustainable Cities and Human Settlements. For this first one, we are innovating new ways to use Earth observations to tackle deforestation and forest degradation using Google Earth Engine, and building from our experience with the RED Plus strategy and developing an early warning system for deforestation. For the EO Toolkit call, we have established a local group, and we are actively supporting the global initiative with the goal to enhance the use of Earth observations to advance Sustainable Development Goal 11, the new urban agenda, and our national urban environmental agenda. Also, the Ministry of Environment and Energy of Costa Rica is a proud recipient of the 2020 Geo SDG Award, recognized for its work with UNDP and other national and international organizations in developing a tool that uses spatial data to map essential life support areas, which are locations where we could strategically protect, manage, and or restore nature for the greatest benefits and sustain human well-being. The importance of this tool is that it is constructed based on our national priorities and that uses different sources of spatial information developed for our country, which enables us to integrate this information in one single map. We are integrating all these projects and knowledge using the National Environmental Information System, the SINIA, and the National Land Use, Land Cover and Ecosystems Monitoring System, SIMOCUTI, for the reporting on our state of the environment to make this information open and apply to solve important problems from our society. And finally, we're driving our work to the next level by taking advantage of the opportunities of collaboration within our region in the framework of the Aguascalientes Declaration, signed in September 2020, for which we have been actively involved in the development of a joint action plan aimed to improve coordination and dialogue among member states and international organizations to increase capacity to develop and establish user-driven mechanisms in the region for the efficient acquisition, management, and use of geospatial data. Sharing our knowledge and learning from others is one of our keys to success. Thanks to AmeriGEO and the partnerships presented today, we believe we are on the right track. Muchas gracias.
Hello, everyone. My name is Luis Bermudez. I am the CEO of Geosolutions USA, and today it's my really pleasure to talk about democratizing access to geospatial data through open source GeoPlatform. As we know, geospatial data has been already being available in a lot of countries, and in particular, there are some laws within the spatial data infrastructure to make the data free. So if you go, for example, to data.amerigeos.org, you can find 51 organizations that are already making available data sets for everybody. Now, the key issue is that sometimes making that data open can be very expensive. This is because there are some costs related to license that you need to pay every year. There are, of course, some server costs that you also need to pay. There are some costs related to extending the solution. Sometimes commercial software comes with some features that are very difficult to extend, and there are some support costs. So my proposition here in this talk is that using open source tools can lower the costs. I'm not saying it. The World Bank, for example, did report about the return of our investment when they invested in GeoNode to make the data available in some of their projects. And it was about 200% return over the investment. And the tool they use and the tool that I'm proposing now, which is a Geospatial platform, is GeoNode. GeoNode is this tool where you have an interface to allow the users to explore, upload the data. It has an admin interface allowed to manage users and such, a control panel that you can see statistics about who is using the data. Behind that is GeoServer and a database that is very popular, Postgres, PostGIS, that you can integrate also with other data coming from other sources. With GeoNode, you can upload resources, layers, documents, services from other places. You can upload layers, for example, shape files, comma separated values and such. You can upload documents, and also you can link to other services. Once the services or this data is available, automatically the data is available via open standards. For example, via WFS, you can get access to GeoJSON, Excel formats, etc. You can also create maps, which is where you integrate different layers. You can control the opacity. You can share these maps to others to provide this context, for example, for disaster. You can create MapStories that allow you to integrate multimedia with maps, with different layers to allow to tell a better story. And you can also have user and groups where you can control who can upload, who can review, who can edit the metadata, who can download and such. So it allows this powerful collaborative environment in a very secure framework. So in conclusion, GeoNode is an open source platform for democratizing access to data while saving costs. And you can check it. You can Google GeoNode demo and you can get access to this platform so you can test it yourself. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Pat Cummins with Esri. We're a GIS software company and a longtime contributor and supporter of GEO. And Esri was one of the first private sector companies to be acknowledged by GEO as a GEO associate member. We've had many engagements with GEO and AmeriGEO over the years, and I'm going to just highlight a few of those partnerships in these brief remarks. Our support ranges from technology donations to support things like the AmeriGEO's data sharing collaboration hub, or technical advisory support on key projects like GeoGlows. And many of our activities fall under the broad category of capacity development. This might be providing on-site training services during the AmeriGEO week events, particularly when we get to meet in person, or doing webinars to respond to current events like COVID response, or providing learning materials and online training classes through the Americas Academy Learning Center. Another one I'd like to highlight is the AmeriGEO OGC disasters pilots. Esri's been a long-time partner with OGC as well, so working on these OGC pilots has been a natural fit. We're excited to be kicking off phase 2 disasters pilot next week. We're partnering with CONIDA on this to cloud-enable the PeruSat data. This will revolutionize the way the data is accessed and will break down barriers to access and use of this data. And enabling easy cloud access along with analytical technology will really unlock knowledge from this data and increase the value of that data. And it will play an important role in planning for and responding to natural disasters. And with many thanks to General Garcia, we have had early access to this data so we can accelerate the creation of these cloud services. So we'll be able to use that data. We'll make that data available for the Peru Bicentennial Mapathon kicking off later this month. And with the cloud services, the Mapathon teams will be able to use that high quality imagery to capture data and feed into applications later on. The last thing I want to talk about is really looking forward to new collaborations with the AmeriGEO community. Last fall, when the Aguas Caliente Declaration was signed, there was a very strong goal stated in that to advance the sharing, interoperability, and integration of geospatial data and reduce the information divide. We're very committed to supporting that goal. So we have stepped up to commit to co-develop, co-design, and host an Inter-American Geo portal. This will complement and amplify the good work in the region already and create a platform for collaboration and learning. It will be inclusive and help bring everyone along. This infrastructure has already been stood up. The framework is there and ready to go. We're ready to take the next step with a project launch, with a joint design session to frame out what this site will be to support the broad region. And I think with that, I'll just wrap it up and say, why do we participate in these partnerships? We believe firmly that geospatial data and technology are key to understanding complex problems, and that by teaming up with AmeriGEO and GEO, we can work together to build the capacity around the globe to help address these problems. Thank you.
I'm Cesar Rodriguez from Europe.
I want to take the opportunity to thank all of our diverse speakers and presenters who provided, a lot of good information about local to global perspectives. And I really want to thank Pat for her summary comment just now, because I think it really encapsulates, the discussions that we had today around partnerships and the value of partnerships. It's very encouraging to see the community working together to address gaps and user needs through these collaborative projects, and the capacity development as well, bridging that divide and democratizing data and technology. We have a limited amount of time for audience engagement this afternoon, but I would like to ask one question of the audience before we conclude. And I'll start with Major General Morgan. So the question is, how can activities be developed that are transversal and favor integration? Because I think that's where there's a value proposition in different scientific areas, and in order to be able to respond to challenges in our time. So if you wouldn't mind responding to that, Major General Morgan, I would appreciate it.
Sorry, I activate my audio. Well, our commitment is to serve the Peruvian citizens. To achieve this goal, we partner with the organization with the legal responsibilities in activities of disaster preparedness and response like CENEPRED and INDECI, as well as many other ministries and organizations in our country. This is an important opportunity for us to lead a joint effort in our country.
Thank you very much. Are there any other panel members who would like to respond to that question? How can we develop activities that can be developed that are transversal and favor integration in different scientific areas?
Hello?
Yes, please.
Yeah, hi. So I think there have been some activities in the past where, for example, in the OGC, there are the innovation program that can bring together a lot of ideas and a lot of different scenarios that we can make this integration. So I think in an umbrella like OGC, or I know there are some activities like Mapathons and others that can help also bring that together, but I think the best place will be OGC, the disaster pilot that has been mentioned, and all the other activities that exist around different opportunities at OGC. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So in the interest of time, I just would like to thank all of our speakers and presenters again today. Very powerful presentations, and really a couple of key takeaways here: that partnerships are critical in the use and the development of Earth observations across our community and dealing with some very challenging activities. The other is that there's so many opportunities for collaboration as well, as we can see. the advancement of Earth observations and geospatial technology over the last several years has really provided an ecosystem for us to be able to work together. And we're seeing a lot of that in some of the demonstrations that you shared with us this afternoon and promoting these partnerships. And I look forward to continuing to working with all of you as we move forward. So with that, I'd like to thank you again, and we'll bring this session to conclusion. Thank you, and wish everyone a great day.
Thank you, everyone. And that concludes our session for today. If you would like to see any of the videos and or additional information, please feel free to go to AmeriGEO.org, where you'll find more information on the presenters, projects, and activities within the community. Thank you.